Hello, I'm FJX and today is officially the 10-year anniversary of when I started this YouTube channel. It's a very big day for the channel, and I wanted to talk about it at least a little bit, but today is also Monday, which means it is Let's Play Monday, so welcome back to the weekly series where I play through the various updates that have come out for Minecraft on the Xbox, building stuff, killing stuff, and of course, destroying stuff. And in today's episode, I'm going to be doing a little bit of building because here's the deal, right? I want to do a Let's Play episode anyway, even though it is a big milestone, because a lot of people, will use this as an opportunity to be like, well, that's the way more important thing. But I think what people expect from you, I think when people expect consistency from you, you should do your best to try and deliver some amount of said consistency. And that's what I'm going to be trying my best to do with today's video, because yeah, episode 399, it's a big deal. So we can talk about milestones in two ways, because one, today is a huge milestone, and two, next week is a huge milestone, right? Like 400 episodes of the series which has been going on since 2012. It's a big, today's a big week to talk about milestones. So let's talk about, Minecraft. Let's talk about what we're doing today, and let's talk about, the milestones that relate to that and what I've been up to in this past week, which is also going to include big plans for 400, or maybe small plans for 400, because like I mentioned with my kind of start to this, that like, oh yeah, isn't it kind of interesting that just because, it happens that my 10-year anniversary is on Monday, does that mean I shouldn't upload a Let's Play? And I can totally see the logic behind saying, oh yeah, you totally shouldn't, because, like Monday, you could do like a big, milestone video. That'd be way more important. Go react to your previous videos, and you better believe that's a thing that's on the cards. But, why is it then that like, okay, so why do the Let's Play normally? And I think, being able to, trusting people's trust in you is something that is hard to do on the internet, but it's something I try to do where I can. Like, oh yeah, well, Monday, we have like almost like a little social contract or a YouTube contract of like, oh yeah, if you need some time to talk about the week or whatever else terrible things we talk about each week, it's an opportunity to do that, as well as, whatever's on the mind, etc. It's like a thing you can expect, and in exchange, it's a thing I try to do. It's been a very long time since we've missed a week of this. In fact, like, since we went weekly, I don't think we have missed a week, because, yeah, it's important to stay consistent where you best can. Obviously, there are situations that don't require that, but it's something that I really like as a concept, because it's like, yeah, it's a big milestone today, but let's also talk about everything else, because every important day is also just a day, and every day is also an important day. I think so, at least. I think the idea of milestones is something I've never been the biggest fan of. Like, I'm not much fun at birthday parties, let me tell you, because, like, why does it matter that, like, oh, 10 years ago today, the Earth spun around the sun at this exact same point, and that somehow, the Earth has spun around the sun exactly 10 times since I did a thing, rounded up to the nearest 1/365th of a spin, and it's like, I mean, is that really meant to be a big thing? But I think on some level I understand like why it is. Like, you need to commemorate things sometimes, because there is only so much time in the world. I mean, both in terms of the fact that the universe, like heat death the universe. If you're not terrified right now, by the way, Google heat death the universe and realize that there's so much you can be and should be terrified about. But that's not good life advice, but I'll go for it anyway. By the way, I'm going to be placing leaves in some water. I'll explain why later, maybe. Or maybe I just won't explain. Maybe some things are best left unexplained, says the person who explains everything for hours, multiple hours every week in the form of live streams and podcasts and stuff. But no, let me talk at least a little bit about, the fact that I think every single milestone is important to celebrate on some level. But I also think, like, there are so many days of the year that are cool. Like, it's International Toaster Day. Make sure you celebrate your toaster today. And it's like, but do I really have to celebrate my toaster for Toaster Day? Oh, it's officially been 26 years since Kurt Cobain died. And that could be true. There's a 1 in 365 chance that I'm right about today being the anniversary of someone's death. It's definitely a lot of people's death anniversary today, right? But see, I've always been like cynical on that level, because I'm not a fan for coincidences. Humans as a whole, one of our like errors in judgment is we make way too big a thing of coincidences. Like, we make it into a huge deal, and it's one of those things I've never been the biggest fan of. Like, it doesn't make it, coincidences, there's something that you fall prey for. Like, oh, did you know, the same day I started my Let's Play a week after Minecraft came out, and it's like, whoa, that's crazy. It's like, oh yeah, it was unrelated, I didn't play Minecraft till a couple years later. I know, like, incomplete information and making assumptions based on the information you do know, it's the biggest flaws that we have in like our human programming. So I spend a lot of time trying to avoid it, and then there's like this thing that everyone has to do all the time where we celebrate those coincidences. Anyway, I don't want to be like a bummer, so I won't talk about that too much, but that's why I generally try to be like, I think the most important thing you can do on an anniversary is not the same as you do every day, but at least the same. The same, but maybe better. A lot of times, like, for say a show's 10th anniversary, they'll do something terrible. Like that's not like like when a show does a clips episode, you might like clips episodes, but it might not be what people are going for a certain point in time. It might not be the right fit for those people. And yeah, I've always kind of thought like, yeah, in the same way, it's a Monday. It's the 10-year Monday. It's a very big Monday. I'll never have a day this big in the channel's history. Like, will I be around in 10 years? I hope so, but like statistics say probably not, right? As in on YouTube, not in general. I mean, I hope I'm around in general in 10 years, but statistically speaking, we can make a bunch of assumptions. So I got a trident from that. Look how nice that is. I can totally hit the other drowns with trident if I want to. But yeah, we can make pretty easy big assumptions and be like, oh yeah, so it is a big day on those scrolls. Anyway, I don't want to talk about that too much. Let's talk about why we're placing leaves in water, because there's someone who's going to go crazy if I don't mention it soon. And you're not going crazy, not ideal. So yeah, basically, I want to place a bunch of leaves in this water. I want to fill up this entire pit. I've decided there's a nice big pit here. I'm going to fill it with leaves because I want to, well, one, I think it looks kind of cool. Two, I have a bunch of leaves anyway, so there's no real downside. And, I mean, is that like, are those two reasons not enough by themselves? Like, it looks cool and there's no real reason not to. That should be enough reason by itself. But no, yeah, if we have to add another reason, if you insist, honestly, I feel like it'd be a really cool way to have like an underground entrance to something. Like, if you make your entrance in a sea of leaves, you can make a really well hidden entrance, or like, you could do some really cool effects. Like, okay, so for instance, I've got an ender chest on me, just for the purpose of doing what I want to do. So I've got some sponges, right? If I drain some of this is going to be a nightmare to undo, so I'll do it like, I'll do it somewhere else to show you a little fun fact. So let's say we place a bunch of leaves over here. So again, this is a big body of water. Everyone should be able to see that. But if we go over here, for instance, and then we want to make like a perfect circle within the leaves. But okay, so again, it's hard to explain what I'm trying to say. Well, now what we can do is we can place one of our sponges, and the water gets drained from the water, but it comes back. But it also gets drained from the leaves, and it can't come back because there's a block there. So you can have leaves which don't have water in, next to leaves that do have water. And if you look at this from the sky, it should cause a really interesting pattern difference. Yeah, you can, wait, you can see clearly, like, these are watery leaves, these are non-watery leaves. And that difference, again, on the surface, it's like, well, why is that so important? We can make some patterns with that, and we can use that to make, again, I feel like, a secret entrance to a base of some form. So that's all we'll be trying to do. And also, I hope we can get some sleep sometime soon. I am a big believer in hating rain. So anyway, let's talk about what's been going on the past week, because this Let's Play is also a good opportunity to do a little bit of vlogging, even though, kind of, a lot of people like to know what's going on, and therefore that's the thing. So yeah, given that, by the way, like, in the same way that a lot of people like tradition, they like the idea of doing something because they've always done it. One of the things I love making is red beds in Minecraft. Like, every time I have the opportunity to make one of these classic old beds, it feels good. And given that today's my 10-year anniversary, let's just like have a few moments of like nostalgia for how good the red bed was. Like, it's such a beautiful little thing that only feels beautiful because it's that way in my mind. Again, this is the same thing I was just mentioning. I don't know if it's necessarily a problem or if it's something we ever can fix, but there are so many parts of our brain that are like wired so that what we should know is opinion, we think is fact. Like, oh yeah, red beds look good. I mean, it looks good to me because that's how they've always been to me, right? I'm sure, like, objectively, the best color of bed is like pink or something, or maybe like bright. I really like light blue, but like, because we liked red bed first, there's nostalgia attached. Nostalgia's hard to like unwind from something, which is why so many games remaster rather than making new games. Like, if you can make a remaster for a tenth the price of a new game, and people will love it more because they loved those games as a kid, why not do that, It almost beggars the question. I'm gonna end up with a lot of tridents by the end of the day, aren't I? I can guarantee that's gonna happen. But yeah, so it's kind of interesting that there's so many parts of our brain that are like trying to like falter our judgment process. And I just, second trident. And I think it's sometimes important to like try and counterweigh that in some ways. And you can never fully counterweigh it, but also you should try, Like, it's like, just because you know you've done something wrong, this is the whole idea behind, like, I guess, like confession in certain religions, right? Like, oh, you've done a bad thing, but it's okay as long as you kind of know you've done a bad thing and you try not to do it again. That's all we can really ask for. Like, ideally, we shouldn't do the bad thing in the first place. Please don't do bad things under the assumption that you go from them. But as long as, you come here and, it's a really interesting duality of, like, don't do bad things, but also doing bad things is okay, as long as it means as long as you stop doing the bad things right after. It's, at least to me, that's an interesting duality. Maybe it's just me, but, yeah, it's something I think about a lot, and it's been a little bit on my mind, because in this past week, I would say, I try not to talk about like when things are bad on this channel, because it's like, you know, like if you're having a bad day, so hearing someone else's bad day, almost like you know, it's not useful. It's not the thing you want to hear. At least maybe it's not for me. And in a similar way, or vaguely similar way to that. Oh, we're about to get tridented, it seems. But in a vaguely similar way to that. Oh man, there are drowns everywhere here. At least if we kill them, they'll be gone. But in a similar way to that, it was like, oh yeah, I don't know why. I was just going for a real fun. I think I finally like overcome like 2 weeks of just like, man, everything feels not great, not fun. Everything was going amazing, but just wasn't at the same time. And I think one of the things that always makes me like, you know, because sometimes like, you know, it's hard not to just mentally question like, why do things just suck sometimes? Why is it that in a fair and let's say fair and just world, why is it that in a world like this that sometimes things just don't go according to plan? Why is that? And you know, like it's always like hard to just be like, man, it'd be so much better if I was happy all the time. But then I think like maybe it wouldn't be better if you're happy all the time. I think there's something like whenever you go through like a down period, like whenever things are real bad, that's when you spend time fixing them. You know, that's like okay, so when on a day-to-day basis, there are so many things you do without considering. In the same kind of tradition point, like, I like making red beds. I don't consider why, I just make red beds. That's just how my life works. Should we keep a squid trapped in the middle of this? I think that's a genius idea. I don't know if squids will not despawn after all this time, but I feel obligated to try. There we go. We've now got a little squid cage. We'll see if they despawn, because I'm 99.9% sure they will. But again, Bedrock's different. There's some weird stuff going on. But yeah, so there's a lot of things that people do without any real thought as to why. And yeah, I feel like whenever things are bad, that's when you start thinking like, so what is it that's causing you try to like root and stem every issue in your life. And I think going through like let's call it like a destructive process is what leads you out on the other side in a better state. Like, you know, one of the interesting, like to go a little bit of history on you, one of the interesting things about World War II is that the end result of it seems to have been positive. Again, like, you might say, like, how's that possible? Tens of millions, hundreds of millions, arguably, people lost their life as a direct result. And again, that's bad. That's a thing that we would not want to have happen, even if we had the choice. But the end result is that the economy grew on such a huge level because it was directed towards one purpose. That every single person was directed towards this one thing that they had to do, or they would, you know, or the bad people would win. And they actually were bad people, assuming you're on the winning side. At least that's how we say it in our little theories. But like, it's widely accepted, like, Nazis not good people. Is that a thing we can say on the internet? So yeah, like, you know, like, there were so many, like, good things that came as a result. Like, you know, the rebuilding that came afterwards meant that things were rebuilt in a way that more people seemed to like. A lot of the kind of, you know, we now know, like, oh, we shouldn't do that because it's bad. You know, like, having, like, a historical reference, like, a real point in time, it helps us learn. And I think in the same way, whenever you go through like a down moment, the rebuilding process of that, it's something that can help you because you realize what things are important and not important. I don't know, like I was so again, just to be honest with you, I went through like, I don't know, just a super bummer of a couple of weeks. Maybe it's because you know, like I think I'm addicted to travel. I hadn't done it in a really long time. Maybe you know, maybe it was just that I didn't feel like I was doing as well as I should have. I can't tell you for sure what it always is and isn't. Like, again, brains are weird things. You're not my therapist. I'm not your therapist. I mean, I can be your therapist if you want me to do. You know, I feel like I'd be a very good therapist, but leaving that aside, I'm not your therapist. You're not my therapist. You know, like, things just didn't feel particularly great in a couple of weeks. But yeah, as soon as things get better, in the process of like being destroyed and getting better, is how you kind of improve things. Like, oh yeah, I started doing some more exercise. Or like, oh yeah, I stopped just eating cake with every meal. I had a very serious phase. This sounds like a joke, but I was just like, you know, I want cake now. I want cake there. I don't know why I have an addiction to cake, but I do. It's like, you know what cake is like? It's such a, if you want to like a nice dessert, like there are so many like healthier alternatives than cake, right? There's a reason we eat cake for birthdays, but perhaps for 10th birthdays, and that's because it's this big special treat that you only really should do once a year and or whenever you feel like cake, which is a lot more than once a year. But like, yeah, I think there is some symbolicism to the idea of like cake, because again, there are so many, you know, like there are lots of foods that aren't actually bad, they're just bad on a regular basis. Like, everyone likes to pick on McDonald's, be like, McDonald's is so bad for you. If you eat McDonald's once a week, like, I would even argue it's perhaps it's healthier than some of the alternatives. Like, depends on what you consider the alternatives. But like, at least in the UK, I mean, maybe it's different elsewhere. Maybe it literally just has pig's blood in it or something. Actually, pig's blood is tasty, like black pudding, UK thing. Wonderful, try it sometime. But like, there are so many like things that you can eat, but just not regularly, or like so many things that are really fine for you as long as you don't do them regularly. Like skiing and snowboarding, like they're dangerous, but like once a year, no problem. Every single day, you need a different set of precautions. I recently learned, this blew my mind, that running, you're meant to do it on the front of your foot, not the back of your foot. Again, I've been doing some research for long distance running. Don't ask why. You might know why already. If you don't know, you shouldn't ask. But I've been doing some research on it. I've been running wrong my entire life, and it's fine because as long as you're not running very often, you won't get injured from it. It just hurts a little bit after a while. In case you're curious, you're meant to run on your toes, not on your heel. Like, your whole foot's not meant to touch the ground, only like the front, like 50 or 60%. That blew my mind. Like, oh, I literally, one of the things, I don't do it that regularly. Like, I run to get around cities. People hate me when I say this. But, like, I was doing one of the things that I do so regularly wrong because it's just, you know, it's not an issue till you get to the high levels. There's so many things that, that are like that, I would say. And I think some of the symbolicism of, like, an anniversary is like, this is the one time to do a thing. Like, oh yeah, when you have your 10-year wedding anniversary, go on a big holiday. Even though you can't afford to go on a holiday every day. I mean, most people cannot, right? That's what the nature of a holiday is, like celebrating a long year or long X amount of time. You know, in the same way, it's the 10-year birthday of the channel. So what is the best fit for that? What's the best, like, you know, Toycat channel equivalent of like, oh yeah, it's 10 years. Do something you can only do once every 10 years. And honestly, well, the response to that one's kind of tricky. I guess that's why commemorative videos make sense. Like, it's really, let's call it, I don't know, like circle jerky. Like, it's really, it makes me sound really eager on myself if I make a video just next Thursday, like, oh yeah, here are the best moments on the Toycat channel. It's like, ah, oh, why are we doing this? But if it's the 10-year anniversary, it's like, oh yes, this is your time to celebrate yourself, your history, your past, I guess history and past are the same thing. This is your time to do that, you know? Like, if there is a time, and let's assume that there is, then why not the very time, if there's going to be a time, then it makes sense to me that it totally should be, you know, the time of of a particular anniversary or not. So I don't know. Those are my thoughts. That's just something that kind of hit me, and something that I thought about at least a little bit recently. Okay, so we got more drowns coming off me. Drowns are annoying to kill because you can't smite them unless they. Pro tip for anyone watching, but if you want to smite drowns and you want to use the critical hits to make sure you get a one-hit kill, because if you have smite 4 or even smite 5, you can one-hit kill any zombie or skeleton. But you can't do it with drowns in water because it's really hard to get criticals down there. Which, I don't know, I'm just saying. Bit of a weird thing about Minecraft, right? Can't get criticals unless you're above the water. But, so yeah, for today, we've made ourselves a nice little base here. Right next to this ice spikes. I didn't even see that over there. It's in a really nice part of the world. We'll do something else around here. Maybe just make it... Maybe not even a base. Maybe I should just make this like a nice piece of art. Like something green and white. Like, is there a green and white flag in the world? There isn't. Green isn't actually a very common color on flags, besides like Brazil. I can't think of any green flags on the top of my head. But yeah, that's why I think, you know, even though anniversaries are stupid, I think there's the one small part of them I like. The one reason I'll never be like anti them is because sometimes, you know, like if you're thinking all the time about everything, then it's easy to avoid mistakes like, oh yeah, well you shouldn't eat X today because that's, you know, it's been too recent since you ate the last thing. That's so many of our problems in life because we do things that are fine to do every now and then, but we do them frequently. Or things that you're meant to do frequently, we do every now and then. Like if you brush your teeth once a month, you know, it helps. It's better than 0 times a month. But that's not enough, you know. Yeah, British people, you know, we have bad teeth. Maybe part of that's why. In the same way, like, you know, I because I make you know, I spend a lot of time making videos. It's my favorite thing to do, I would say, to some extent. Like, you know, maybe I like traveling just because it's like truly no structure if you don't want structure. But like, and it has structure if you do want structure. But one of my favorite things to do is to make these videos. I spend a lot of time every day doing it, and it means that I don't necessarily have as much time outside as the average person who walks to work and maybe has like an outside job. and therefore working out the amount of right amount of time to exercise, whatever. It's important to do. And yeah, all of this kind of ties together in my mind that like going through things, destroying them, rebuilding them, it's hard, it's tough, but the things that survive, the things that last for years in a row, those things need to be special in some way, right? Like, there's something... Because here's the deal. The longest lasting company in the world has been around since 524 AD, except it hasn't really. It went bankrupt about a couple years ago, or like 10 years ago during the financial crisis. And the reason that there's not been something which has lasted more than 1,400 years in organization is because you need lots of people with independent visions to keep that going. To keep anything going, it needs someone to care about that thing and to pour enough time to show they're caring and to feel rewarded in exchange, right? And that's why when something takes a lot of time, it's impressive it lasts. You need people to be passionate about the thing, for the thing to keep existing. And therefore, I would say, if this doesn't sound too arrogant, the fact that the YouTube channel has lasted 10 years, admittedly I've only been uploaded Minecraft for 7 of those years, and admittedly, there's like a 2-week gap between when I made my account and when I uploaded my first YouTube video, and admittedly the videos back then weren't the same quality as you can make a lot of asterisks to this, but I think anything that's been around so long, you have to spend at least a minute and say, that's cool. I appreciate that. I think that's great. And to everyone who does watch this channel in any way, you're the reason that this does make any sense to me. YouTube, if you don't know, is my full-time thing right now. It's the thing I spend most of my time each day on because I can, because you guys make it possible by watching the video. Some people are even more generous than that. Like, you giving me your watch is more than I ever deserve or I'd anticipate from any of you. But then some people go a step further. They watch or they share. They like or they share. And in some crazy case, there's just under 100 people now who have membered the channel. They give a monthly subscription to guarantee that even in the times where views aren't so high, it can still continue to be my full-time thing that I can dedicate so much time to. And it's something I appreciate beyond any rational words and beliefs. And that's why I wanted to talk about 10-year anniversary today. It's something that usually I don't believe in, something I usually wouldn't talk about. It's something, like every anniversary of everything isn't important, but this anniversary of this thing is really important to me. And to anyone else that it's important to, thank you so much for watching through any of these years. I can't tell you how much it means to me. And I can't tell you without sounding like insincere, because every other YouTuber, like, there's like a script list of things you say when you're a YouTuber, like, oh, I am so grateful and or sorry for this thing. By the way, we could totally build a conduit down here. Like, I've got enough of these shells for that, I think. Yeah, I think I should totally do that. We're gonna make a conduit down there eventually. But like, there's a script list of things that YouTubers meant to say. So every YouTuber starts their video with "Hello, I'm," and then you say your real life name. Like, "Hi, I'm Andrew." Humanize yourself. Then you say like, some very short intro, and then it's like, okay, somewhere near the end you say, make sure you smash that like button. I don't know why it's always smashed. Like, why can't we just gently press it? Like, gently tap the like button, because it's a gentle lover. It's never that, is it? It's always make sure you violently damage the like button. Make sure the like button's on life support by the time you're done with it, because that like button ain't nothing to you. And there's a bunch of other things where, like, I'm so grateful, words can't express. And it's like, if words can't express it, then you shouldn't just take someone else's words to do it. Like, I don't know, finding the right words for anything is hard. So, to give you my best shot right now, I am appreciative to a level that is hard to properly show on the internet, to a level that some people won't even believe or care about. And that's fine. That's something I'm actually okay with, because that is a part of what makes this channel awesome. The fact that everyone can believe their own thing, and I don't treat you like a herd of cattle. Most of you, I don't treat like a herd of cattle. I mean, there are some cattle out there, and there's like some, what's the word? There are some people out there who are very, people who like leave those spam comments. I treat you like cattle, like, I'm going to push you over to the next field. But everyone who leaves genuine comments that, like people who've tried to help or tried to, like, they show they're real people, and they, they offer support. They're useful. They're interesting. During live streams or these Let's Plays. It's something I appreciate. a whole bunch beyond anything else. Anyway, thank you so much for watching today's video. Hope you all enjoyed it. I hope you learned something or got something. Or maybe you thought this was the worst video ever and you thought, 10 years is a perfect time to subscribe. That's fine if you want to believe that. So yeah, no, thank you very much for watching this video. Hope you all enjoyed it, because I'll see you all next time. Goodbye.